it's Chris.
And Kirsten.
Welcome to Good Thinking Weekly, the podcast where we discuss the best of the best in brands, marketing, and culture.
Thousands of people, top execs from the likes of Complex, Klaviyo, Walmart, Wall Street Journal, and LVMH tune in every single week.
We run a creative consultancy in GoodCo, so we know what it takes to build a good brand.
Subscribe on YouTube, your favorite podcast app, and Good Thinking on Substack for more.
All right, let's dive in.
Hi.
Special episode.
I know, we're together.
And sitting like unusually close.
I know.
Trying to
We're trying to work it so that if we do the
social post,
then
we need
work.
to be together. So.
Right. And we,
anyway, we like to be close.
Yeah.
All right. Another episode of Good Signs.
Good Signs. Yeah. Excited to dig into this. A lot of stuff that's bubbling up on our social posts, on LinkedIn, in conversations, in the conversations that we're having, conversations we had last night.
Last night over wine, this morning over coffee. We literally never stopped talking about work, which is a little bit concerning, but also kind of nice. All right. I think we should start with the one that just feels like we have not stopped talking about it since I arrived in LA, which is, I'm calling it SLOP TSUNAMI right now.
SLOP TSUNAMI. Okay, I'm into it.
But we could also call it the big fake.
The big fake. Yep. Oh, I like the big fake.
We always workshop the names after the
fact. And let us know. I want to hear more comments. I want to hear more opinions. We need you guys a part of this. So
yeah. All right. So the first one, we'll call it big fake, is nothing is real anymore. Suddenly, it's today at the coffee shop where there was this guy walking around and he's probably talking to somebody, but he's just talking to the ether. There's literally something going on where I don't know what's real anymore. And I've got some examples of that, but it's something has changed. There's been a tidal shift, maybe in the last few weeks where fakery is everywhere.
Totally. And we've had many conversations where it's oh, is this happening? Is this happening? The morning example of, granted, we're in Venice, but is this somebody homeless and rambling to themselves, or are they on some type of technology and rambling to somebody else?
Yes. But I think it's going beyond that. One of the examples that I have that I was going to write about in the newsletter this week is, FIA, the company that I've written about, Phoebe Gates's company. Okay. And it's, doesn't matter what it is. They are using, this week they've been using, I got this from Casey Lewis, but they've been using TikTok influencers to promote their product. Not unusual, except they're not real people.
Right.
They are completely fabricated individuals. They are what we talked about with Gary Vee. He said AI influencers are going to be basically owned by brands.
Yes.
This is what's happening. This is different because it's not a mascot. It's not a fake person. It's not one person, but it's all, they've made multiple people, but none of them are real.
Right. But it's so hard to tell. I've sent you things on Instagram and been this is cool. Or,
no, that's not real.
Right. And it's literally, and that's why I think the punctuation is we have this conversation, then the end of it is always I don't know what's real.
Yeah. And so the other example is that OpenAI and Meta this week have come out with their own social media platforms that will just be complete fakery. It's designed.
AI talking to AI, is that what's happening?
No, it's all the slop that you get on your Pinterest and your Instagram are just going to be all in one place now, conveniently for you. And it's crazy. There are people posting this. There's this woman who's on a glass bridge and she's throwing a brick down or a stone and she breaks the glass, but it's not real. It looks exactly the same. And now that's been turned into a meme, which means that it's it's in the ether now. And this woman isn't even real, the girl, what's funny about the memes to me of past is when you saw the girl with the house on fire behind her and stuff that's just somebody took a really funny photo in that moment and then it becomes a meme.
Right.
But now it's we've created something and then it's getting really murky.
Yeah, it is really murky of really knowing what's real. Okay, so are there more examples or should we move to the pendulum?
Let me see. Oh, well, there's the friend ad.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
That's
There's
ads here in LA.
I still, to this moment, don't even really know if this is a real product. The story is that it is a real product.
Yeah, there's billboards here in LA. So if people don't know.
Friend.com, I think they bought, which that must have cost them a pretty penny. But it's a pendulum that hangs around your neck. It's $129. And it's supposed to be your AI companion all the time, right? And the theory of it is not wrong for elders. I think there's a lot of loneliness. There are a lot of lonely people in the world, but it's
sure
pretty dangerous that, the idea that you could just have this like $130 friend that walks around with you is just gross. Anyway, they created this ad campaign and they deliberately like made space on the campaign so that people were tagging it. It's just, but it was designed to create that rage bait. So it's like, you don't even know is the campaign real? Is it just made it? He says that it's for social commentary. So you don't even know what's going on. Like, it's just, everything is murky.
Yeah, it's really murky and it's concerning. Like that's some scary shit of like not knowing what's real, not knowing what to trust, and then participating in something that you were kind of baited to participate in. Like that doesn't feel good.
Yeah, that doesn't feel good.
All right, so pendulum swing.
Well, the pendulum swing, I mean, we are going to talk about one of them, which is trust.
Yeah.
But the other one that I think is interesting, which is something that Matt Klein wrote about recently, that I will again unpack on a newsletter, but he's called camouflage culture. And it's essentially people opting out deliberately from all things because the AI can scrape everything, right? It can scrape your conversations now, because that little thing hanging around your neck is recording everything that you've ever said, and someone's going to be able to search for that, and that scares people.
You think? It scares me.
And it does. And so he is sort of predicting, and it's already beginning, that there will be. So there's this. I think it's called Brick. It's like which is taking off a device that essentially like stops things from working around you. So stops the devices from recording you, stops your phone from working you, sort of bricks the technology, but it's just remotely in the house.
And it's meant to be something where you're not so addicted to your phone. Like I think the premise of it is
but
that.
I think it will also be like a protection device.
Yeah.
You'll essentially be walking around with a protective brick.
Yeah.
To stop people
from... We need
from...
bricks and friends hanging from our throats. This is great. Can't wait to live in this world. Let's raise more kids.
It's going to be like those Flavor Flav like necklaces. We're all going to have just like... Forget bag charms.
Right.
It's technology charms.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so people just kind of opting out and deliberate. We've talked about it before, no phones. So for a long time, it felt like, Soho's being so extra, right? But now this will be a desirable thing, or like going to an event and deliberately not recording it and saying no. And that's why people don't dance. We've talked about this before.
100%.
But this will become bigger.
Yep. Yes, I definitely see that.
Yeah. And it's an opportunity, I think, for brands and businesses. That feels like a real opportunity to create the camouflage culture spaces of the world.
Talked to a brand yesterday that's in that space, and such a fucking opportunity.
Yeah.
And a need, and like, yes, more of that to fix the things. Yeah.
Privacy, big space. Big space. All right.
What's next?
So the other pendulum swing to this, which will break out as a bigger sign, is trust. Right?
Yes, huge. I feel like every conversation, every LinkedIn post is all about that.
Right. So the examples I have here are a lot of these micro networks of trusted friend circles. Now, instead of buying vintage from anywhere online, now you have to get into a private WhatsApp group, because that's where the really good vintage is happening. And it's happening there because people feel like these pieces are ones they want to pass on to people. So it's a trust thing. They want it to go to somebody who values it, somebody that they want to get it from, somebody that they know that it's real. So there's that happening. There's Belly, the app, where it's kind of like Yelp, but with your friends. Yep. And again, that comes down to trust. I want to know if my friends say it's good, and it's not just, some bot saying it's good, and
which makes such a difference. Yeah, which makes such a difference. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the best action of it in real life, an example for sure.
Yeah, and then the other example that I put in here is Etsy buying ties. So Ties is an app that again comes down to community. It's knowing that these things are goods. Essentially, Etsy's trying to say like, hey, like these products are, because Etsy has a lot of slop. I have a slop issue from China. Everything on Etsy at the moment is from Shine, and people are doing that. But they're trying to buy this app so that then you would be able to actually find things from real producers. They're really trying to counter this slop issue. And I think so many brands are going to have this like counter slop issue, and they're going to have to put systems and tools and things in place that offer the trust network that people really want.
Right.
It's complicated.
It's really complicated. And I think that's a great brand because Etsy, I don't know if they're still a B Corp, but or it was a B Corp at some point. And so I feel like they're a brand, a company that's really trying to do the right thing. And this is a perfect example in the age of technology and all the things of really figuring it out because their marketplace also is like, like hard to navigate.
Yes. And the trust thing, like Pinterest is having the same thing, right? Like on Pinterest, a lot of stuff now is fake AI. And their whole platform is like that this is the healthy social media. So they're going to have a trust issue too, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not really healthy if everything that you're consuming, you don't know if it's real or fake.
Right.
And like it's really complicated. So trust is going to be a commodity that you will trade in. And I think it will be something that brands will have to invest heavily into building trust into their brand.
Right.
And I think it becomes an opportunity, right? There's certain brands, like I think of, what's the breastfeeding one that makes formula? Bobby.
In another episode of...
Chris can't remember the name of like one of her favorite brands. This is so typically me, but that brand has built has done an enormous amount for trust, right? With its brand. And so I think brands investing in that kind of we're a trusted brand, but you can't really say trust and expect anyone to trust you if that if that's
like,
not
hey,
clear.
we're trustworthy.
Never try that.
It's like saying you're cool. Like, don't do that.
You can't say trust. Trust is a battery. You have to build it. You have to
trust
charge
battery.
it.
Let's talk about it.
And I think that brands that invest now in doing things and behaviors that get them trusted will do really well in the future.
Yeah, and I think it's going to have to be a part of what brands are doing because Bobby's a great example, but they're doing it ongoing. Like their CMO just posted something about something that they're doing, a community that they're investing in, like not a huge, front page headlines, but like the little things that they're doing. And that's what makes the difference.
Yeah. So I think that will be huge. And then, the pendulum swing is the fake stuff that we've talked about as a bigger topic.
Right. I think also within trust, like we've seen a lot within community.
Oh yeah. Which we could talk about endlessly, community.
Yes.
But I think that I think that more people are trying to gather in person. And I've saw somebody, I can't remember who it was on LinkedIn, was saying like, hey, I really see the return of business lunches happening because they don't know if the person who's doing the work is a real person.
Right.
Because, Zoe Sackman's talked about this now. It's like so many people have, turned up this dial of AI work, right? And they're like producing and they're creating all of this stuff. But you don't know who's working on your stuff. You don't know if, and a lot of the stuff is shit.
Well,
it's work slop.
Yeah.
Work slop is another thing.
Right. And it's all going to be the same.
You can't do a brand strategy with AI because essentially all it's doing is pulling off of everything that's already been created.
Yeah. We talked about that in the last podcast, but let's be really clear about that. That's not the move.
That is not the move. But going back to the business lunches, it's going to be like, okay, this is the person that is working on my account. This is, it's going to go back to the Don Draper days where you go out for beers with your person because they want to know who you are and that you're real and that you're smart and that you're not fake smart.
Right. And I think there's two ends that community and trust are coming together and going to be so important. Based on just all of us wanting to finally meet IRL, have that support system, but also away from AI, away from kind of all of the technology of what is going on.
Yeah. It's a real complicated space.
Okay. What's next?
We can lighten it up now.
Yeah. Okay, great. I'm here for that.
Okay. So number 3, maybe we've used this title before, but there's an ongoing theme of less is more is happening.
Yes.
And you're really into this one. So you lead.
Yeah. Well, I think we were talking about it this morning over coffee, as we do. And I think it's about really digging into not starting and peeling away the things, but starting with the fundamentals of what do we really need? What do we really want this experience? What do we really want? Goes back to the intention conversations that we've had. What is really that intention and what really needs to be there? And people want to be there to experience that and be present versus be distracted by the social media wall or the this or that. They want to go and feel connected in a space without all of the bells and whistles.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about that with Ken, like that people really liked not the flashy branded spaces that had like, everybody's been paid to be on that stage. That wasn't working for people. Though it was very prevalent. It was more the spaces where they could, it was literally like a table in a room, but with people that they could actually get value from. And that was fine. They didn't need the giant, like they didn't need it to be a photo walls experience. Like don't take that and say, oh, people want community and we just move the photo wall inside. They don't need the photo wall to begin with.
Right, exactly. And I think it's that. And those things I think are becoming actually not just the side things that you can add on, but the things that are even more important. A24, I think, is a great example of that. You wrote about a newsletter. I shared a post about it, and everybody's really, it's really resonating because
you need
people...
to give context.
Okay, will you give a little?
Okay, so A24 created a restaurant, and not like Netflix's, which I'm not saying brand experiences don't have a place. I think that it's just choosing what's right for your brand is the right thing. Because Netflix doing like something very like less is more, maybe not right. Anyway, Netflix has a restaurant and it's all like,
A24,
everything is themed. But then in the A24 one, which is I think called Wild Cherry, it's just a restaurant. There's very little branding. I mean, it's branded as Wild Cherry. It's not branded as an A24 restaurant, but it is an A24 restaurant. It's a restaurant that's next to the theater. It's supposed to be kind of like a movie and dinner experience, but it's not trying to be a branded experience. I actually got an email reply to the letter with someone who went, out to Jonathan, for sending me a cool pic. And he was like, it was really great. Like the vibe was really nice. It's tiny. French chef like killed it with the food, which is unsurprising. And he was like, do you think that it's enough though? Like, will they get value out of it? What's the ROI? And I think that's a really that's the difficult thing, right? Brands feel like they need to get the ROI, but the ROI is different for these experiences. I think it's word of mouth. I think it's having a great memory of a brand. And like, you're like, okay, like the food was really good. That's the ROI.
Right. And I think that's fascinating because if you think about it, it almost feels like the more ornate, the Instagram wall, all of those feel more like performance marketing, which is very measurable.
And no one is posting, by the way, those pictures that they take in front of those walls. Like no one's doing that.
No one's doing that anymore. Yeah. For sure.
And they would much rather take a photo. Like if you go on my feed, mostly it's people at the corner of someone's glass with like a napkin. That's what people are posting right now.
Totally.
So if you want to, so then you are going to get.
You're going to share, right? What you're going to share versus this manufacturer. You are going to get the ROI, but I think just like anything really deep in brand, it takes a minute, and you have to really understand that it's like it can be at the end of the day more impactful, but it's not going to be the performance numbers, next week.
Right. And so this is one that it's a complicated thing because J.Crew did do some fakery, weird bullshit thing with their AI.
Yes. It was the response. It was the response to that and their denial of that more than anything of actually doing the AI thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they should have done the fake vintage photos in the first place.
Yeah.
I think, but denying it is what's
that for me was bad.
They did do this pop-up that I think is kind of the pendulum swing within the brand. Is they did this pop-up that was, there were like sweaters stacked up. It was very lived in. It was very easygoing. It wasn't a branded photo shoot like photo wall with like step and repeats or like, swings or whatever it is that we were really into for a moment. It was like a real house, right? Like just like somebody, like you walked into someone's living room and guess what? People are sharing the living daylights out of it online. But also I had another reader write to me who went,
I love that everybody's reaching out. Please continue to do so.
Yeah, I really love hearing from you guys. Who went and he was like, this is Bobby. Bobby says, this was like a great experience. Like it felt really nice to be there. That's the ROI.
Right. And that is going to be a longer tail ROI.
Much harder
immediate. Yeah. But it at the end of the day has a larger impact on the brand than kind of the quick performance marketing. Oh, I shot an Instagram photo, blah, blah, blah.
It's a brand sentiment thing.
For sure. But I mean, I think it's all about connection. People want to feel connected to that experience and share something that is of them and that they're experiencing and they're sharing, versus going and feeling like, oh, they want me to take a picture in front of this. I'm going to take a picture along with 5,000 other fucking people taking the same picture and share it on my Instagram. No, thanks. I'm going to take a slice of life from that feels
Right.
more like my perspective.
Yes, agreed. And so I'd say when I was thinking about the pendulum thing, one thing that I thought was really interesting is the brands that are doing this kind of less is more thing are more like the everyday people's brands,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Like the
yes.
J.Crews,
Yes.
the A24, I think is like probably the most democratic of all studio houses, right? It's like
Does everybody know what A24 is?
I think so.
Okay.
And it's like of the people, and of the people is going kind of quiet, like less branded.
Right. The brands of the people, like
the brands of the
in that
people are going
space.
less branded,
Yes.
which used to be more of a luxury play.
Right.
And then on the pendulum swing, I don't know if you've been watching Fashion Week, like all the Fashion Weeks, the New York
I
one,
have.
the Milan one, the Paris one, but it is getting loud.
Yeah.
It is more is more
I'm here for
on
it.
more.
Yeah.
Gucci and Demna.
Yeah.
Like I love those, like the photos and the personalities, and it's like such a fun thing. Loewe's was really loud.
Yeah.
Versace's was really loud. Not logo loud, just more is more loud.
Yeah.
So it's not a logo issue. It's a chill versus unchill kind of issue, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that they're kind of switching, and I think there's a confidence within that. I think that brands that were more of the people felt like they needed to go and try to elevate and do what they were doing, and versus now it feels like coming more into a confidence and a comfort within what the brand actually is, and just creating that space for people. Yes. The more is more, I think, is from like, I'm 100% here for it from a style perspective, but like, it's pretty played down
today, but the necklaces are there. There's always a more is more moment.
For sure.
Yeah. But I think it's, and obviously all of these things start to play out, like, so luxury will feed back in, and so then it will get, it's going to be a different moment in a few years. But anyway, interesting.
For sure, interesting.
All right. Number 4, maybe again, something that we've talked about, because we've talked a lot about shame.
Yes.
But we're talking about it in a different way today, but it's sort of like shamelessness.
I love this one.
Shamelessness era. People talking about their facelifts openly. I mean, everybody's decided they woke up, and Kris Jenner like opened the door and everyone walked through it.
100%. Yeah, I think it's true.
She was like, here, and then, whew.
Yeah.
And then I would also say I put in here Paloma Wool's campaign that I loved, which felt very like not trying to be motherhood is like, so it was just shamelessly.
Share a little bit more about that, because I don't think everybody knows Paloma Wool.
Okay.
But everybody should read the post. It's really
good. Paloma Wool is, I don't know, it's a brand. Like, it's not a brand that I feel, I've followed it for a while, but this is like their first big play. I feel like I haven't seen much from them before. They do really nice video work. It's always been really nice. But they did a campaign. It was shot in various places, but it was of the models. And then the models were also moms, or there was moms in the picture. It was just very interestingly done. Like, the art direction was really cool. And it wasn't like about motherhood. It was just like, yeah, motherhood is interesting. And we can say that now. Yeah. And we don't have to, like, it's not like we're being holier than thou about motherhood. We're not hiding motherhood.
Right.
We're just being like,
it's just a part
we're just moms.
Yeah.
We're like okay with it.
Right.
Like, it's just interesting space to play in visually.
For sure.
So I felt shameless, like in a different way to me.
Right. It felt like more elevated, and having motherhood in that space, which normally feels like you need to have a reason to have motherhood.
Yes. Exactly.
And we have to say like, oh, good job, or, oh, I feel upset about it, or I'm struggling with something, or versus just like,
just there.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other one I have in here is Frida, which hasn't been shared, but it's been shared with me.
Ooh, breaking news. You heard it here first.
I think it's literally happening today, but this podcast won't come out for a week. Frida is installing a statue, and it's a statue of a breastfeeding woman.
So good.
And it's just kind of like a celebration of something that we all, like, I think we're just, Bobby's been showing breastfeeding women, again, it doesn't have to be motherhood and shame, but there is so much shame.
So much.
Traditionally as part of motherhood. And I think we're just kind of all over it, and we're just shamelessly like kind of pulling back the curtain on, like,
on all of it. On all of it. Like,
Yeah.
I think this is probably my favorite movement across the board of like,
You love a little unshaming.
I love it. I love it. And I think it's so meaningful, and I think like any of it, it kind of starts with the person, right? It starts kind of more on a human level. And I think we're doing that and seeing that. And then brands are starting to adapt that.
Yeah.
And saying that more and more, but I'm 100% here for it. And I think it's like an amazing unraveling. And then will ultimately lead, we're unraveling the shame and it leads to celebration of it, which I think the statue is a good example of.
Yes. And I will say, just also on the honest beauty one of like all the women talking about their facelifts,
Yeah.
it's not just women. Like
Yes.
there are
Yes.
podcasts out there of men talking about all the things that they're doing, whether it's taking testosterone or peptides, or people are just saying like, hey, this is what I'm doing and I'm fine. Like it's okay. Like I'm not trying to hide what I'm doing. And everyone's like, like, oh, should you be doing that? It's like, I don't care. That's the feeling.
Yes.
The feeling is I don't care anymore.
Great. More of that in this society, please.
Yeah, and then we have the pendulum swing.
Oh boy, yeah. And this pendulum swing is like I think once we identify it, everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, this is really a thing.
It's happening.
Yeah.
We were calling it today at coffee rage expressions.
I think it's right.
Expressions of deep rage.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So where we have shamelessness or like unshaming of things, all of that is connected. Then we have just massive amounts of shaming happening that is coming out as rage.
Yes, it's very directed and strong.
Yeah. So it's happening to brands, it's also happening to humans. Yeah. But the example, like the friend example that I was giving you, that campaign went up and people couldn't, they were rage baited, but they were enraged. People were scrawling on this thing, saying terrible things to people, very, very angry. And it's like, we need to like shame the brand for like shame on you brand is happening. Like the same thing would happen with American Eagle and Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
It's like shame on Sydney Sweeney, shame on like everybody's like you're so terrible. And we cannot, it seems like as a society, like we can't see things and not be like a big F you if we don't like it.
Right. It's got to be loud and you have to share your anger and your rage and your opinion.
Yeah. If you're not sharing it to stories and saying, I am outraged at this ridiculousness, then you're not living.
Right. And there's for sure more to be outraged in this world right now. For sure.
There's a reason that we're all angry and everybody's fighting. It's the way that we're doing it is very, like with the Sydney Sweeney thing, it's like, I just thought the campaign was terrible. Well, we don't need to like slut shame this girl to bits.
Right.
But we certainly did.
Even because I posted about it and then got I think that they knew what they were doing. And I think, this is their intention and who knows, but I happen to know still some people at American Eagle that are there. And like, I know that like they didn't create that, at least the people that I know, like would never have kind of come from that space. And the reactions are so much like, well, I know that this was kind of their intention and I know, and we seem that anything that we're upset about kind of adds to whatever argument we've been building about this or that.
Right. Well, and I think we can tie it back to the AI slop thing for a second, because what I read about was that actually so there was like some woke people, they say, like saying that they didn't like it. It was a very small amount of people. Most people did not care about American Eagle's Gene campaign. But then that was taken, re-edited so that it looked like it was like this, half the country's enraged about American Eagle, when half of the country was just like, I don't care, or I don't even know about it. And then it's created a firestorm that then we respond to with more rage. So it's like, actually, the initial rage was fake rage. And then we are responding with real rage.
See,
and
this ties back to what the fuck is real.
And we don't know. But I think that will begin to be an enormous problem for everybody. Like it's going to, I think everybody's about to face this.
Right. Only more so. And, it's great that everybody has opinions and strong opinions, but it feels like those opinions, and it's like just yelling at the top of your lungs versus sharing something that like could be constructive to either have somebody think differently.
Yeah. To quote Brene Brown, or not really quote her, but like it's like shaming doesn't really work anyway. And it's a really complicated time.
It is.
Yes. It's just all right. And then to be on a lighter note, which we did a whole podcast on that went out today but this one will go out next week on this very topic because we had a lot to say about it.
So much to say. And this is, again, like so here for this.
But I do think it's important to put in here as a sign because it is a topic, but it's also happening all the time, is the contradictions are your superpower. Maybe we can call it something different. I call it powerful contradictions, the power of contradictions. Who knows?
Yeah. I think both are true.
Yeah.
I mean, two things can be true. Thank you, Dr. Becky.
Yeah. It's about how I think we're beginning to see it, but that contradictions, like people are living contradictions. You are a living contradiction.
100% I am.
And the brands that tap that or the people that show that are doing really well because they feel really human. So the example we had was the ultra marathoner William. Like, I'm not going to say his last name because I'm going to butcher it, but he is an ultra marathon runner, very fit, like, you know, like constantly sharing, but then also like drinks beer and occasionally smokes a cigarette and like is a real human. And that you look at it and you're like, wait a second, that's me. Like that feels really right. And you posted about it and your comment section was basically like, I feel so seen.
Exactly.
I feel so seen.
Exactly.
And they feel seen in the contradiction. And I don't think enough brands really lean into it.
100%. I mean, I think this is a huge brand takeaway. And to me, it starts, we've been talking about this for a while, I don't know, 6 months, a year, within the brand book format. And I think that's like such a great place to start because brands, and I've been a part of this, brands, you know, you want to be able to say like, oh, look, it's our audience. We can put it in this box and say they make this much money. They read these things. We can name them this. And there you go. And the reality is it's just not that simple.
It's not that simple. And they take all the generalities and they never show any of the specificity of the contradiction, right? And the contradictions will be different for all, like there will be 5 people who sit in that kind of like group of like muse, right? But each of their contradictions will be different. They're not all having the same contradiction.
Right.
But just even acknowledging that the contradictions exist and saying, hey, like this person also might do things like this, X, X, and X, and X, and X would be so helpful because that is where the true gems lie. And when you see that contradiction existing in the world, then it's really powerful.
Right.
Brands do that.
Exactly. But I think that's where we're moving from. We had kind of this flat brand book, and then we're moving to not just be aware of these contradictions, but be aware, Post is a great example, that people actually feel seen when you pull those things out and you say, yes, you're this, or it's okay to be this, or our brand can represent those things. So now it's like not just, it's same thing we were talking about within the shame aspects. Like we're moving away from this simplicity. We're realizing that people are this duality. And now what we're moving into the brands that are doing it really well are actually celebrating that.
Yeah, I not to constantly bring it back to Bobby, but like I think they did a great job with that with the campaign with Molly Baz because I think a regular formula brand would be like, our mom uses formula. Let's celebrate her. Let's celebrate her formula-ness.
Yeah.
And then they said, actually, a lot of people use formula and they use it like rarely. Like for me, like it was like, okay, I'm breastfeeding, but I'm occasionally supplementing with formula, or she only uses formula at daycare, right? Like, and those contradictions are fine. And when they celebrated that contradiction and the co-feeding and da-da-da-da-da, it was a big, I mean, there was obviously many reasons to have a big celebration about that campaign, but there was a big celebration of it. And I think that so many brands will just stop at the she feeds formula.
Yes. It's a great example. It's a great, because it's simpler. It's simpler for the brand to be able to do that. It's simpler for the team to be able to execute. It's like, we can just be this and not that. And to dig in, it's about more depth. It's about strategy. It's about, you know, AI can't do this.
Right. Yeah. AI can't do that. And I think the Paloma example I would also feed into this is that, you know, it's like, oh, she really likes fashion. And the motherhood side of her is put on the side.
Right.
Like, it's like, she's a girl that likes fashion. She can't possibly also be a mother. Right? Because those two things, they don't go together.
No.
But then to show like high fashion with motherhood, which is almost never seen.
Yeah.
And to show that like living together and show that living contradiction that many mothers are very into fashion and into high fashion. And, you know, Ava Chen is always like, you know, posting pictures of her kids. And you would like, if you summed her up, you wouldn't sum her up with the mother piece of it. You would simplify her. And
yes.
And it's like, no, she posts pictures of her really amazing dresses and then she'll like show in the same carousel her kid being silly, right? And those two things live together. But we would never show her in a category like brand book you would always erase that side of her
Right.
to simplify it.
Exactly. And I think it's really, I mean, I think this is the biggest unlock for brands right now, is really understanding what your contradictions are and really leaning into that.
Yeah, depth of field.
Yes, because people, it's not just like, you really can connect with audiences as people in the comments feeling seen, like that's it.
And I also want to say, just to kind of like round this out, is one of the things that I liked about the Paloma one that I wrote about in my post was a lot of brands shy away from it because they say, oh, well, not all people meet this contradiction, right? So it's like, not every Paloma wool shopper is a mother, right? And so you could be like, well, we can't do a campaign about with motherhood because, 50% of our people, they're not mothers. So like that won't work. And it's like, no, you don't have to be, every campaign you do, every little moment you have doesn't have to be just for the neat version of the person. You can celebrate one contradiction, then celebrate another contradiction, then celebrate another contradiction. They don't all have to make sense for everybody. And nobody cares.
And it's the confidence to lean into that. I mean, I think like the podcast with Matt brought that up, as far as like really being able to lean into like this part of a brand or that part of a brand, really like.
Not every Men's Warehouse person needs to like Savannah Bananas, but it's okay that some do.
Right. And having the confidence and the conviction to be able to lean into those parts and pieces. But I think looking at it from a CEO, CMO, it makes it much more complex, because you have to lean into the intricacies of a brand, and you can't just sit back and be this one size fits all brand book and just execute to that. You really have to lean in and think about what rabbit hole they're going down at 3 a.m. Like, where are those contradictions? And then really be thoughtful about the campaigns. It's a much more kind of lean forward approach to brand. It's a much more active positioning approach to brand versus just leaning back and letting.
And I would say this is I know we have a bunch of CMOs who listen. And so I would say that one of the challenges that I see is that at a high level, because they're like popping in, they're like, oh, is this for our consumer? Is like, does this feel right for our girl?
Yeah,
is like
totally
number one, like drop-in.
You've all heard it.
The CMO opens the conference room, looks at the campaign work on the wall, and it's like, do you think this is enough for our girl? Is like, oh my God, I've been in so many meetings like that. And I would say, try to remove that from your vocabulary. Try very hard, because I think the brands that remove that from their vocabulary now will succeed.
Right. But to be clear, it's not that it's not right. It's just, it's about leaning into maybe something that's a little bit more specific and feels really connected, but isn't as universal.
Right. So it's like, I think it's the universality.
Yes.
They have this like girl in mind, and it's like, oh, well, our girl's not a mom.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe some of them are.
Yeah. It's the universality. Like, we're done with that. Yeah.
All right. And then the pendulum swing I have in here is that I think that there are still people who are neat and tidy as individuals. Like, they do really like clean eating, or they do really like, there's still.
Yeah, it's just only one version of it.
Yeah. I think there are probably still some neat consumers. I don't know what other pendulum swing they could be.
Yeah, well, I'd be curious. I don't know. Is there a pendulum swing that, you guys think we should be tacking into?
Yeah.
That we're not? I would love to hear comments, suggestions. Let us know. All right. That was a lot to unpack.
It was. Till next month on Good Signs.
On Good Signs till next month. In LA this week, New York next week, and continue to play the game of where in the world is Chris Danton.
Yes. I work from everywhere.
You do. Yeah. All right. Until then, stay curious.
Ciao. Don't know if we made sense on that podcast. I always feel that way. That was it for this episode of Good Thinking. Don't forget to tune in next week.
If you found this valuable, subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast app.
And don't forget to read on Substack for even more insights.
And if you really liked it, drop us a heart. We'd love to hear from you.
Ciao. Until next time.